All right, we're going to get into the sequel to talking about Windows 11 and how it's a spying tool that spies on you, and we made that video. But today we're going to do this in-house because I wanted to show you everything. So this was a mistake. If you look here, this was the Crucial T705 4 terabyte PCIe Gen 5 NVMe M2 drives, and I bought them. It seemed like a good idea. I bought them with the heatsink. Well, we're going to get into that in just a second. You don't need the heatsink if you have a modern motherboard, and if you're spending this much money. I mean, this was about $1,200. So I'll be sending that back at the UPS store. You can see I've already printed the barcode. But let's get into the computer build here in just 1 second. So the first thing always, RTFM, read the freaking manual. And we've been going through this, and you can see that I bought two 64 gigabyte. I talked about this in the last video. Two 64 gigabyte DD5 RAM modules. But the weird thing to me was it goes in the A2 and the B2 slots. And I'm assuming I've got this in the A2 and B2 slots. You can see I've already got the AMD processor mounted on the motherboard. We're going to get into all the specs here in just a minute. So, and of course, this is the case. I mean, look at that monster. Is that crazy or what? I mean, I've never seen a case that wide, but to see, I like the wide because it's going to give me plenty of room to work in that case. This is the NZT case. But also I needed it lower down so that it will fit underneath my desktop setup in my office. Now, we might get into the office in this video. I don't know. I doubt it. We're just going to have to go through everything that's on this table. Now, one of the good things that my ex-wife did, because we used to have people over and we would have dinners on this table, and it was ridiculous. I mean, look how high this thing is. I have to use a stool to use the damn table, and I was like, and by the way, it's marble. I mean, look at this damn thing. I mean, this was one of the things that she left behind when she moved out of the house. So I do appreciate it because it makes a great work table for doing projects like this. But let's just keep. So I wanted to show you how you have to read the manual on every little step that you do. And like I said, the M2 drives that I bought, they have a heatsink attached, and there's no way to remove that heatsink. But the motherboard itself, this is we're going to get into the specs on this. It comes with a heatsink, so you don't need your M2 modules. You wouldn't be able to put this, for example, on the motherboard unless So we'll get into that story in just 1 minute. So let's get into the specs here just for 1 second. We talked about this in the last video. So we've got the Micro Center AMD Ryzen 5 9950X CPU processor with Gigabyte 870E AORUS master motherboard, ATX DDR5 4X M2 PCIe 5.0 USB 4, and Wi-Fi 7. Total cost of $1,031. Now, why am I doing this? Well, if you didn't know, silver's it's hovering between $48 and $49 right now, and gold's it's still hitting about $1,100 to $200. And so when things peaked out, silver was up near 54 or so. I actually sold off some of my holdings, PSLV. If you're not familiar with that ETF, that's a Sprott ETF. And so I had all this cash laying around, and I was like, okay, cash is trash. Okay, the dollar is going down. I mean, everybody in the freaking universe is divesting themselves of dollars. In fact, there was a story just today that India is going to start using silver as a currency in April of 2026. They said that they're encouraging their citizens who still hold dollars to get rid of them. So you can see that India, China, Russia, all of the BRICS nations, they're getting rid of the dollar. So I thought, man, I better buy some assets, right? Now, you can buy real estate, you can buy a car, you can buy a house, you can buy land, or you can do what I'm doing and build a computer. So that's why I'm spending the money as fast as I can. And I say money, currency. It's not really money. The dollar is going to zero, people. $38 trillion in debt. So, spend it or lose it. That's what you're going to have to do. And by the way, not a single component here, because one of the things that I do with a computer build is I record all of the information off of these boxes. So look here. You got all this writing on here. This is the Corsair HX 1500i power supply. I record, before I even open the box, I record all the information and files on my computer, because you never know when you're going to need that. Any one of these components may be faulty, and I might have to send it back, which means don't get rid of the boxes, and be very careful opening the boxes so that you don't tear them up or do anything. I see people on YouTube all the time. They just tear the boxes all to hell. Well, if you have to send it back, you need that box. All right. So so we're getting back now. Now, one of the things that I did, if you notice, this is a Gigabyte motherboard, and it's bought in combination with the processor. I highly encourage you, if you're going to go into a new computer build, and I'm not recommending Gigabyte. I mean, ASUS is a great, a lot of people swear by ASUS. But I just went with this because, and I've had bad luck with Gigabyte in the past. Don't get me wrong. I had a Gigabyte motherboard that failed on me. ASUS, I've got 2 ASUS motherboards. They've done really well. In fact, they're still going, but I'm getting rid of them because they're so old. That's what this is all about. I'm going to be replacing all that hardware. So let's just keep going here. I know that I'm getting long in the tooth, but I'm saying buy the processor and the motherboard as a combination. I think that's going to be really important to you. All right, so let's get into page 2. So we'll start talking about the hardware here. Like I said, we covered that in the last video. So this right here is the Acrylic Liquid Freezer 3 Pro 360 AIO CPU cooler with 3 120 millimeter water cooling fans, 38 millimeter radiator, PWM pump, VRM fan, AMD AM5, which is that processor right there. It's going to be supporting that. Now, I've never worked with a water cooler before. Let's get, well, I'm going to get my other computer on the video. What I bought was an air cooler for the last computer build, and it was so bulky, it was so huge that I couldn't even put it might have fit in this case, but it didn't fit in the case that I bought. And I couldn't even put the panel back on the case because the cooler stuck out so far. So that's why I went to water cooling. And by the way, I used Grok. Grok wasn't right about everything. Let me tell you that right now. Grok is not your friend. Okay, I mean, it's your friend in that it gives you a starting place, but you're going to have to watch YouTube videos and you're going to have to do your own homework. But you can see, look at this cooler. Can you imagine a CPU cooler that looks like that? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. My God. Now, I'm not going to take it out of the bag, but the other thing that I did, because I have a Gigabyte motherboard, this is the Gigabyte 5080 video card. Now, the Asus video card, I think, is a better card. All right, it's slightly more expensive, but it comes with more ports. This only has 3 display ports and 1 HDMI, whereas the Asus, I think, has like 7 ports. So, if you're going to spend the money, but I wanted the compatibility. I talked to Grok, and we had a conversation, whether you want to believe in AI or not, and we were thinking that going with a Gigabyte graphics card with a Gigabyte motherboard for compatibility reasons was probably not a bad idea. If I had an Asus motherboard, of course I would have bought the Asus video card. All right, let's get into the specs on this. So we just talked about the water cooler. So now here's the motherboard that I went with. And then, like I said, this was packaged with the CPU. The Gigabyte NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080, this is the graphics card, excuse me. WindForce SSI triple overclock triple fan, 16 gig. Can you imagine 16 gigabytes? I mean, good God, I remember back when a megabyte was huge. GDDR7, of course, I never thought we'd be $58 trillion in debt. Who would have thought that? But the grand total for the card was 1074. All right, so now we get into the memory. And I just talked about this in the manual about where you want to mount the memory. But we're just going to hit on this for just 1 second. So the G.SKILL Trident Z5 Neo RGB series, and by the way, RGB just means that it lights up and looks pretty. I don't give a shit about that, but a lot of people do. You know, maybe someday somebody will enjoy this computer when I die, and they're going to love all the flashy lights and RGB stuff. DDR5 RAM, AMD Expo and Intel EXP 3.0, 120 gigabytes, 2 by 64 gigabytes. Now, I wanted to get into the memory for just 1 second. Now, this motherboard, of course, is capable of running 256 gigabytes of RAM. All right. I only bought, this is 128, and I'm only using these 2 slots. And like I told you in the manual right here, it told you which slots to put those memory modules in. Now, obviously, in the future, I can expand this to 4 slots. But I'm going to tell you what, you're going to get a little bit better performance by only using the 2 slots that it recommends in the direction. Now, obviously, with double the amount of memory, you're going to get outstanding performance. But I mean, what I'm saying is that 128 gigabytes of RAM, I think I'm going to be okay for a while. So let's keep going on the specs here. This is another one that this is what we just ran into. I was showing you that box right there. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm making you dizzy. The Crucial T, this is why I'm telling you, you can't depend on Grok. The Crucial T705 4 terabyte PCIe Gen 5 NVMe M2 SSD with heatsink. See, I bought it with the heatsink. That was my big mistake. Up to 14100 megabytes, game ready, internal solid state drive. Now, I had bought 3 of these, okay, with the heatsink. And I went with the T705 because I didn't know anything else existed. Well, I was talking to a buddy of mine who's actually a real good PC builder, and he was telling me, you know, because he's going to help me with this water cooler. Obviously, I'm going to need help with that because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But everything else I can do myself. I just, you know, I've never dealt with a water cooler before. But, you know, we're sitting there talking on the phone. He goes, well, why didn't you get the T710? And you can't use the heatsink. What's wrong with you, man? I was like, I didn't even know the T710 existed. You know, I said, Grok didn't recommend it. He goes, well, yeah, and you want to get it without the heatsink. So rather than go with the 3, which are in that box, going back to the manufacturer, by the way, this is why you got to act quick, okay? I've only got till November 21st to get that memory back, so obviously I have to get to UPS and ship that thing as soon as possible. And that's the way, and by the way, Amazon's great for being able to return stuff. That's why I go with Amazon. I hate giving the big corporations my business, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, so I bought the T710, and rather than get 3 of them, okay, and by the way, the memory is the same. It's still only 4, they're 4 terabytes each. Now, Western Digital has a 8 terabyte option, but it's not as fast. Now, if you look on the motherboard, I just want to show you this. These are the M2 slots right here, okay? So what we're going to have is the operating system will run on this slot right here. That's closest to the CPU. That's going to be your fastest slot. That's where I'm going to install the operating system. 4 terabytes, believe me, is more than enough space. Now, obviously, I could have bought 2 more 4 terabyte M2 drives and put the one here and one here, okay? So my decision, even though I had 3 before, my decision was to go with 2. All right, so 1 for the operating system and 1 for data. When I say data, okay, the purpose of this setup is to render and produce videos. Okay, so my operating system will be running on this one, which is going to be the fastest, and then I'll be rendering my videos on this one, another 4 terabyte drive, for everything. Now, look at here. We're going to get into this in let's just keep going through the hardware. I don't want to get into the hard drives yet. All right, so we got to get into the power supply real quick. And like I said, we'll make another video. This is going to get long in the tooth. So one of the things you got to look at when you're going with a 5080 graphics card, you got to think about your power supply. Your power supply has to be powerful enough to run the graphics card and the motherboard and this advanced CPU. I mean, it's massive. I mean, I remember back in the day when, you know, a 900 watt power supply was the cat daddy, you know. So now, you know, with the 8090 or the 5090, excuse me, which is astronomical in price and very difficult to obtain. That's why I went with the 5080. Okay, you actually have to have a 1600 watt power supply. But for my purposes with the 5080, I just went with the 1500 power supply. So let's talk about this monster for a minute. This is the Corsair HX 1500i 2025 fully modular ultra low noise ATX power supply. And then, of course, it gives you all of the different voltages. You got your cybernetics, platinum efficiency. By the way, always buy a platinum power supply. They got gold ratings, and I can't remember. That might be like a silver rating or something. I don't know. Just go with platinum. I mean, if it doesn't have a platinum rating, forget it. Don't buy the power supply. Okay, and you can see the power supply, which is one of the most important parts of your computer, was only $368. And I say only, I mean, God dang. In the past, before I just made a lot of money on gold and silver, that was out of my price range. And like I told you, the Corsair was $1,257 for the 3 modules. But once I upgraded to the T710, I forgot to give you the price tag on that. With 2 modules, it came almost the same price. It was a little over $1,000. So I was getting 3 for $1,200, and now I'm getting 2 for $1,000. You know, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,100. All right, so we talked about the power supply. Let's just keep going in the notes here. Oh yeah, let's hit on another topic here real quick. So these are something that I bought. You can go up online. I had some old remote control outlets that wanted to use Alexa. Now, if you want Amazon spying on you and everything, you can go with Alexa or, you know, whatever, Siri, or, you know, all of the AIs that you can put around your house. For me, I just wanted a simple plug. Now, once this computer is built and it's all plugged in, all of the monitors and the computer, they're vampire devices. They're going to draw down electricity. And by the way, I've got 2 UPSs that we'll get into here in just a minute. So what I bought, these are just simple. You can go up online. I bought these plugs, and it's got 2 remote controls. And so I can cut off anything that's plugged into these outlets. And you can see the outlet. There you go. All right. So that'll be going into the back of my UPS, and then I can just cut it off with this. Now, you could say, okay, well, why don't you just cut the UPS off, which I could do, but my UPS sits underneath my desk. I don't want to be crawling around on the floor to cut the UPS off. So I just want something sitting on my desk where I can go, okay, off, 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 off. And that way it's not going to draw on electricity. All right, so let's keep going with the build here. All right, so one of the things I was looking at was I wanted to get a great gaming monitor. And we'll show you this here in just a minute. I'm trying to... Oh, yeah, let's talk about the case. I'm sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. Oh, well, no, we got to... I'm sorry. We're on page 2 right here. All right, so one of the things when you're producing videos is, okay, like I said, we got 4 terabytes here for the operating system, 4 terabytes for rendering the videos. But where are you going to store the videos? You know, a lot of people, they put their videos up on YouTube, they put them up on Rumble, and they say, okay, my video is stored on the cloud. Well, good for you. Guess what YouTube did back during COVID? They nuked people right off of the freaking platform. If you had all your videos stored in the cloud at YouTube or at Rumble, you lost everything. They just wiped, I mean, I'm not saying Rumble did it, but YouTube did. They just wiped everything. So and these people had like 1 million followers. I mean, it was insane. And, you know, and YouTube didn't care. That's how much money Google has. They get your tax dollars from the federal government. They don't give a shit about creators or people that are on the platform. Okay, they'll nuke you in just a heartbeat. You know, so if you don't have local storage for your videos, you could lose everything. And in fact, I've known there are a couple people that are no longer. They don't even exist anymore. And I used to be huge followers of theirs, but once they got nuked off of YouTube, they didn't have backups for all their videos. And they're gone. They no longer exist. Can you imagine making a living and you're producing videos? So what do we go with here? So this is the Seagate Iron Wolf 28 terabyte. That's unheard of, man. That's kind of like, I mean, the national debt. I'm actually getting above the national debt in terabytes of disk space here. So we got the Iron Wolf Pro, the 20. So I got two 28 gigabytes. All right. So literally with the 4 terabytes here, I'm hitting up about 64 terabytes of storage. That's going to be a lot of videos that I could store on this computer. I'm going to tell you that right now. So let's read the specs on this. So it's an enterprise NAS internal HDD hard drive, CMR 3.5-inch SATA, 6 gigabyte, 7,200 RPM. By the way, don't get the 5,400 RPM. Always get the 7,200 RPM. That's kind of the latest and greatest as far as I can tell. I think there's actually some 10,000 RPM drives out there. I was more concerned because like I've got the 2 drives here, the M2s that are going to give me the speed. I just was more involved with storage capacity rather than speed for the SATA hard drives. Your needs might be different. Okay, but if you want to spend the extra money, but I just wanted the space. The 28 terabytes was fantastic. And of course you can run RAID on here. I'm not going to run RAID. And of course those 2 hard drives, that's $1,031. I mean, this thing ain't cheap, man. All right, so now we're going to get into the NZXT H9 Flow RGB 2025 large dual chamber ATX mid-tower airflow PC case. Includes 7 RGB fans, 6 by 140 millimeter, 120 control hub, 420 millimeter radiator support, back connect ready black, $305 for the case. Now let's talk about the case for just a minute. One of the things that I liked, okay, and I made a mistake with my last computer build, was you want the fans to come with the case. Okay, otherwise you're going to be sitting there, and by the way, the manuals. This manual is actually pretty good, but my previous case, I can't remember what the hell it is. Maybe I'll look it up for a future video, but the manual sucked. I mean, it absolutely sucked. And trying to get the fans, and I actually had to go to a local PC shop and let them install the fans for me. Well, this case comes, I mean, let's look down in here. Maybe you can see it. It comes with the fans pre-installed. So don't waste your money, man. Get the fans pre-installed. That's one huge step that you don't have to worry about. And when you look at the price of the case at $305, I mean, what the hell? You know, yeah, okay, you can get a case for $150 or whatever and then install everything yourself. No, man, I want the fans. And by the time you pay for the fans for that case and do them correctly, and by the way, I do have to tell the story on myself. The fans that I put in the previous case, I had them backwards. At the PC shop, the guy goes, you know, you had installed those fans backwards. I had to reverse them around. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't have a manual. I just screwed them in and how I thought they should go in. That's a huge step. I don't have to worry about fans for that case. And by the way, let's talk about Grok for 1 second. So what Grok was recommending was the NZT XT-H5 Flow, which is a much smaller case. It would have been almost impossible to get this water cooler in that smaller case. And I don't even know why Grok, and that's, by the way, that's Grok's #1 recommendation, the NZT H or 5, right? Why on earth would I get a smaller case? I mean, one of the things you want with a case is you want plenty of room to be able to work in that case. I mean, believe me, it's hard enough building a computer, but you got to be able to fit all your components. I mean, these graphic cards are massive. Look at this damn thing. I mean, I got it in the bag because I'm not ready, obviously, to install it for a while. I'm still waiting on parts for those new M2 drives. But I mean, you got to have plenty of room. And by the way, I just love the fact that this sits low and it's nice and wide. And believe me, we got everything we need to be able to put that case together. Let's keep going with the parts here. All right. So like I said, I bought a monitor. I didn't want to go with a 27-inch. I wanted a bigger monitor. But once you get up past 27 inches to like a 32-inch monitor, it's hard to get the specs that you want at a reasonable price. So you can see this is the UltraGear QHD 2560 by 4040 gaming monitor, 240 hertz, 1 millisecond, Versa display, HDR 400G sync, and AMD FreeSync Premium, HDMI 2.1, hey, display port, woohoo! 4-pole HP out, DTS, HBA. So now look at the price, $291. Yeah, okay, a 27-inch monitor is not, if that's the only monitor you got, I mean, you're screwed. I mean, you need more than, you could buy two of these. Think about it, for almost $600, you could get two of these. And then, I mean, I'm going to tell you what, that's a lot of real estate. When you got two monitors at 27 inches, that's more than adequate for a desktop environment. Yeah, okay, you can buy the huge 32-inch monitor that's got the curved screen and the wraparound. You do you, man. You do you. All right, we're gonna cut this video off because we're gonna get into getting long in the tooth here. Now, one of the things that I tell you, this is a story in and of itself. This is a story in and of itself. So you always got to have a UPC. All right, uninterrupted power supply, or UPS, excuse me. All right, so because I worked in data centers all my life. I've spent 28 years in the computer industry. I've worked for NSA, Cruise Missile Project, Lear Corporation, Ford Motor Company. I mean, you name it, I've been freaking everywhere. And I had a huge relationship with APC. APC was the go-to for UPS power supplies. I never deviated from them. And the reason that I loved them was they always had this upgrade policy. So when a UPS, because UPS battery only lasts, 3 or 4 years max. Sometimes you get a little more time out of it. Okay. And then to buy it, you can buy a new battery and put it in, or you can upgrade the UPS. And it seems like I always had to upgrade the UPS because the connections on it were always, different. So like right now we use fiber versus cable. So the old UPSs only supported a cable modem versus a fiber modem. So, so I had to, and then I'm going, oh, geez, I got to buy a new UPS along with the battery. But the great thing with APC, and I always kept the box, is I could ship the old UPS back with the battery and then just buy an updated UPS and they would ship it right to my door. And then, by the way, shipping the old UPS back was free. Well, they changed that now. You buy an APC UPS, it's junk. It's trash. The APC, their business model sucks. Don't buy APC. So what did I do? I looked around, man, and I found this new company, CyberPower. Never heard of them. And I bought, by the way, one APC battery for my old UPS was like $500. I mean, it was freaking ridiculous. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then, of course, I actually tore the UPS apart getting the battery out, so thank God I decided to just junk it. I took it to a freaking local, junk shop and just threw it away. $500 UPS, I mean, that was a $1,000 UPS that I had to get rid of because APC is being dicks, man. So let's talk about this. So this is the CyberPower CP1500 PFCL LCD PFC sine wave UPS battery backup and surge protector. So 6 of the slots are surge protect slots that you can plug into, which, of course we could put these plugs on so that we can cut stuff off. And then 6 of the ports are battery backup, which of course the computer will plug into the battery backup slots. So, I mean, it's a damn nice UPS. Now, is it going to run my computers for, a day? No. I'll only get probably an hour or two when the power goes out of runtime on my computers, but that's more than enough time to shut them down and everything. And I bought 2 of these because look at the price, $257 or $258. Might as well look at that. Okay, it's a mini tower. It's UL certified. You got 12 outlets. All right, so I have 4 servers right now. Now I'm getting rid of one of them for sure, and so that'll leave me once again with 4 once I built this computer. But so I wanted to be able. So I bought 2 of these, and now I can plug all the computers into the UPS. And I'm telling you, at 1500 VA with 1,000 watts, I mean that's more than. Well, obviously this is going to protect your computers. And these batteries, I imagine I'm going to get about 4 or 5 years of use out of these CPUs. So yeah, check out CyberPower, man. I really liked it. Okay, so now we got to get into, we're going to finish off the video right here. I'm on page 3 because we'll make another video. This has gotten really long. One of the problems that I had in the computer industry is I got carpal tunnel syndrome in my wrists. But that was before I broke my neck. Now I just have no feeling in my hands. Seems like I just keep going from one problem to another, huh? But so I would get carpal tunnel syndrome. And so one of the things, when you're sitting there at the keyboard, you're typing like this. Okay, see how that wrist is bent? That's gonna really affect you. So what you want is you want your hand laying flat. So, I mean, this sounds like a kind of a crazy purchase. But so we're talking about carpal tunnel syndrome. So I purchased the Gorilla Grip Silky Gel Memory Foam Wrist Rest for computer motherboards, mouse, and ergonomic design. Now what that does is that sits in front of the keyboard so that you can rest your wrist on it and type like this. That's really important, man. That's really important. And believe me, trust me, you don't want carpal tunnel syndrome. I remember there was one point in my career where I was typing like this because my wrist hurt and I had a wrist brace on. Because that's what the doctor told me to do. And so I talk about a slowdown in my work production. You know, when you're typing like that, it's insane. But I had to do it because I had to let my wrist heal. All right, so yeah, you can go with whatever one you want. I just like the Gorilla Grip Silky Gel Memory Foam wrist rest for a computer, keyboard, mouse, and ergonomic. And the nice thing was it came with the mouse pad and the memory foam for your wrists. And that's only $15. I mean, come on, man. Your wrist is worth $15. Okay, and then, of course, we're going to get into the video environment because I obviously bought a microphone, and there's adapters and all kinds of stuff. Let's cut the video off right here. Actually, let's go into the office real quick, and I'll just kind of show you the current setup real quick. All right. And this is, and by the way, one of the things that people were giving me a hard time about. So, okay, so here's the new server that I just built. Now, when you price this is one of the things I've been pointing out to people. When you price the price of a computer or a college class, okay, because I feel like I went to school building this server right here. Now you can see there's no panel on this side, and there's you can't really see it, but the air cooling actually sticks out of the case. It's so freaking huge. Now this is the server I'm getting rid of. That's an old ASUS motherboard from about 2014. This was a server that I built after that server. So I don't know, I may get rid of this one, but it still does pretty good. And in fact, I was able to install DaVinci Resolve on there, so I'll probably keep this one. And that's actually running Linux Mint, which we talked about in the last video and why you want to get away from Windows. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, by building this computer, I learned so much. It was like going to school or going to a college class, and that's what's enabling me to build. And this, by the way, there's the microphone, which we'll talk about in a future video. And then, of course, you can see 4 monitors. This is a really old one. This is the new monitor. Check out the Insta360 webcam. That's going to be for doing interviews eventually over the internet. We got the microphone hanging down. You got to get the arm. Of course, there's the lamp there, and then of course, I got the headphones all hooked up. So yeah, I got this monitor. The new server's coming in. It's going to replace this one. That's it for the video. And by the way, this is the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. You can go on YouTube and learn about it. I'm still learning how to use this, but I'm going to tell you, just using this, I can just dial right through that video. It's amazing. It makes it so much easier than trying to use the mouse, which is the mouse you have to sit there and drag it back and forth. No, you just use this. I can get my cuts absolutely perfect. And then, of course, you've got all your buttons: trim out, trim in, roll, slip, you name it. There are actual videos, and they're talking about, I always use the edit page of DaVinci Resolve, but there's people on there that use the cut page, and it works perfectly with this right here. It's life, man. You're always learning. Peace out. Stay free. That's it for the video. All right, so I forgot to add one thing. I am That Cybersecurity Guy on YouTube and The Burn on Rumble, or That Cybersecurity Guy on Rumble, which is where I put my computer videos. And then, of course, like and subscribe to the video. But let's get into the one last piece of equipment that and by the way, all the components that going into this computer build are going to be in the description down below. So you can go into my description. Definitely comment on anything. If you think that there's a better component that I could have bought for my my video studio than what I'm doing, by all means, give me some feedback. I would love to have it. I'm hoping that I'm helping you, because I've done a tremendous amount of research on everything. That this Insta360, for example, that was I've been working for the last 3 months researching all of this equipment. But let's get into the microphone for just 1 second. So this is the Shure MV7i smart microphone with built-in audio interface and deluxe articulating desktop mic, boom stand. And by the way, buy the microphone with the boom stand. Okay, this is the boom stand right here. Believe me, they actually make a desktop stand. I mean, look at my desktop. Where would I put it? I got 4 monitors in here with a printer over here. You know, I don't know what everybody else's office looks like, but mine's insane. There's not an inch of space in here. I mean, you know, I used to have a TV mounted right there on the wall. Now it's I had to put it on the desk because that mount wouldn't work with this TV. So anyway, but let's keep going. Podcast mic with 2 channels, XLR and 1/4 inch USB-C for Mac, PC phone, and advanced DSP features. Okay, so the mic and the boom stand was $514. Now look at the boom stand. See how it mounts just perfectly right there? And it comes around down onto the desk. And see what it is? A vampire device. That's why I bought those plugs that I was telling you about previously in the video, so that I can cut stuff off like this. Now, I've got, you know, this right here. You know, I can cut stuff off. These are switches. So I'm telling you, you know, all this stuff is vampire devices. That's sucking electricity. That's sucking electricity. That's sucking electricity. Look at the monitors. See the light right here? That's sucking electricity. So if you don't have, and here, check this out. There's a little light on there. That's sucking electricity. I don't know why the manufacturers, you know, when you cut something off, it should freaking be off. Okay, it shouldn't be sucking down electricity. Like that is right there, even though I'm not using anything. I mean, look at it. It's even recording my voice. Hello, 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 hello. Look, watch this. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. See? You know, and nothing's on. And nothing's on. It's just because it's plugged in. All right, so I almost forgot, because I did want to, the main thing Raya wanted to add to the video was to tell you that in the description below, I'm going to have all of these things that I looked up. And by the way, Grok was recommending the MV7 V microphone. Okay, the MV7 V, you can't, if you look, here, let's look at the back of the microphone real quick. Let's take a look. See right here? Hopefully you can see that. Let's get in close. All right, so if I actually had somebody in my studio here, I can plug into the back of this microphone and have a separate microphone running through this microphone. And we can have 2 microphones going at the same time. Whereas the MV5, which is what Grok, I told you Grok, it does good as a starting point. Grok was recommending for a single microphone. I mean, if you're never ever planning to be able to use the microphone with 2 people, yeah, the MV5 is fine, but it's not that much cheaper. Go ahead and get the MV7, and then you got the option. I don't know if I'll ever have anybody in my house to do an interview, but sometimes you want the option, and I'm going to tell you, there's so much computer hardware that I've bought in my life where I thought, you know what, I'm never going to use this for anything. I'm never going to do this, that, and the other. I never even thought. This thing sat in a closet for almost 3 years. I finally broke it out because I said, you know what? If I'm going to get serious about video editing, look at this. This was an old, this is another thing that's going to the junkyard. This is an old webcam, you know. it's time. It's time for that to go to the junkyard, It's time for this computer to go to the junkyard. All right. Like and subscribe to my videos. Peace out. Stay free. Don't you love the hat?
But it doesn't change anything. You can still use your username and password for your Microsoft account to log into those apps, and they will still work on a local account. Now, truth be told, my two favorite reasons for using a local account is mainly because, one, I don't need to connect to Microsoft for anything. And if I need a Microsoft app, like something in the store or Office or OneDrive, I can just log into those programs, Microsoft Teams, even. Anything that normally uses your Microsoft account, you just log into it. It's no big deal. It's like you would log into your banking. But it doesn't have to be automatic when you use your Microsoft account to log into your computer. And again, Microsoft doesn't do a very good job of letting you know you even have this option, so you kind of have to work around it. But long story short, it's not going to hurt you to have your Microsoft account still on your computer, but for your daily usage, I would definitely recommend using a local account. And secondly, I don't like needing a password to log into my own computer. I just want to turn it on and have it go to the desktop. I don't want to have to try to remember another password just to be able to access my own computer. Those are really my two primary reasons. And again, for some of you who are concerned about privacy and Microsoft telemetry, and the less Microsoft knows about me, the better, this is a good way to limit that. Now, it's not going to completely eliminate it. Microsoft will still find ways for your data to go be sent home to the mothership, but that's an entirely different video on how to cut down Microsoft telemetry and all that 100%. But this will eliminate Microsoft basically watching and knowing everything that you do. Let me show you how to do it in Windows 11, and then you'll be good to go. Windows 11 is basically the same. Right click on your start button and go to settings. Now, when your settings comes up, just go over here to accounts, and what you can do here is go down to other users. Now, depending on what version of Windows you have, you may see an option here for family and other users. And I think that's a Windows 10 thing. In Windows 11, I think it's just called other users. So if you click that, and then again, click add account, and then when it asks you how the person is going to sign in, if you just typed your email address, which would be your Microsoft account, it will add a Microsoft account to this computer, but we don't want to do that. So we want to click, I don't have this person's sign-in information. And when you do that, now you're basically getting the option to create a local account. So to do that, you click add a user without a Microsoft account. And now you are creating a local user. And again, you can name it whatever you want. You can leave the password blank if you like, or put in a password. I prefer to not use one, and click next. It's going to take a second and create that local account that you can log into if you like. And just like that, you'll have a new local account that you can use that doesn't connect to Microsoft just to use your computer. Now, one other caveat is that if you plan on using that account to install software or anything like that, by default, it is a standard account. What that means is that you're going to need an administrator password anytime you want to install a program or anything like that. So if you need this account to be an administrator, then you're going to click change account type, and then you get a pop-up saying, are you sure you want to continue? You would just go to this account type box, change it to an administrator, and click OK. And now you'll see here that it says administrator local account. And that's all you got to do. Now you can either restart your computer and then just choose that new login as your local account, and it will create that brand new profile for you. Or if you chose the option, as I showed you before, where you just stop automatically logging in and it converts it into a local account automatically, you shouldn't have to do anything. It should just be right there. But either way, that is how you can disconnect your computer from Microsoft and just use your computer as your computer. Now again, there are some pros and some cons, and again, that's probably better reserved for a dedicated video so that you as the average person know what makes more sense for you. So just as one example, if you have a laptop that you use when you travel, and you have a desktop that you use when you're home at the office, and you want to be able to synchronize your files and your settings and all of that, sometimes logging into a Microsoft account makes more sense because your stuff is just there, whichever device you use. On the other hand, some people really just don't like Microsoft, and unfortunately, there's a lot of things about Microsoft that certainly justify that, but this is one way that you can just take ownership back of your computer. And again, my biggest thing is I want to be able to not use a password, and you have to at least use a PIN or some other way to sign in if you're using a Microsoft account, because it's requiring it to log into the Microsoft server. So again, I'll probably make a dedicated video on that, but those are just a couple of the pros and cons on why you might want to use a local account. And again, whether you have Windows 10 or Windows 11, as you can see, it's very simple. One last thing, again, my version of Windows may be a different feature version that you have, but the Windows settings and then the accounts section is where you want to be. Once you've gotten to that point, you will now know how to go in and add a local account and disconnect yourself from Microsoft.